So in this clip, we are going to see Abby, Phillip, and one of her panel members, Ashley, go scorched earth, go off and destroy Donald Trump for the racist post about the Obamas that he spread. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to sprinkle my perspective, my thoughts throughout, but then I'm going to mainly give it towards the end. I will leave the link in the description to the full show so you guys can check that out in your own time. Let's get into it.
Is one of the most shocking posts that Donald Trump has ever shared also one of the least surprising? In a late-night posting storm, which has become more and more common, the President of the United States shared a racist video depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The outrage came quickly, even from many Republicans who called it vile and disgusting. But in their first response, the White House defended it as just an internet joke and accused everyone of fake outrage. Then, a few hours later, amid all of the backlash, they blamed a staffer and removed the post. So what is perplexing about all of this is how shocked Republicans claim to be by this. Trump has a long history of racist posts, comments, and actions, and yet they were all dismissed or ignored by those same people. And it's done nothing to change the level of support instead that he receives from these very Republicans. Tim Scott said, "This is the most racist post I've ever seen come out of this administration." And as someone pointed out on social media, what was the second most racist post he'd ever seen come out of this administration? Since when is that the bar?
Yeah. I mean, you know, when I saw this today, like, it's the dual feelings that you identify, both shocked and not shocked at all, because this is someone who, this is not only a racist post, but a president who is engaged in racist policies, who has encouraged racist rhetoric from his supporters, who came to office on behind a racist conspiracy about Barack Obama. So this is all within his kind of political history. I guess I would also say that when you think about the Tim Scotts or some of the black conservatives, I know Byron Donalds was on the phone with the White House today. I have it feels to me as if I've never seen someone sign up or give up some of their values for Donald Trump and they don't get embarrassed in the end, you know? And so I think it's inevitable when you kind of cede some of yourself and your values to him. He ensures embarrassment.
And that's actually part of the political strategy.
And I think that how much folks will take is a question he will always get to.
And where's the...
And what do I always say on this channel? If you come out in support of Donald Trump, you have to accept that it's an ongoing humiliation ritual, especially as black and brown people. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm a black man myself, and I consistently say it just irks me to see so many black people that will stand behind him and justify his bad racist behavior, but he never extends an olive branch to them or never does something for them that justifies it. Take a look at the way Tim Scott was going on leading up to the 2024 election, thinking that he was going to get a cabinet position. Donald Trump leveraged him, Byron Donalds, and I think that Wesley Hunt or whatever his name is, to go and sit in front of black people, sit in front of black communities to win that segment of the black vote. But then when it actually came to being put in a position of power, none of these guys are nowhere to be seen. Absolutely none of them was nowhere to be seen. People don't learn their lesson, in particularly in this, black people not learning their lesson as well.
Staffer, by the way, who did this, has this person been frog marched out of the White House yet? Or did a staffer actually do this? I mean, these are the kinds, there used to be accountability.
Dare I say, Charlie, no one believes that a staffer
well, I know.
Okay? It's 10, 11 p.m. at night. The president is in the residence and he is on social media. Let's not, I think it is so silly that we have to give credence to these very obvious lies that come out of the White House sometimes on this stuff.
I agree. I agree. But if it were really a staffer, they would have been fired, and we would know who they are.
We would know.
Would they? I mean, like,
in any functional environment, any other
in a functional environment, but we're not here there. You know, we're not there. I think a couple of things. One, I saw it, I expected it, I'm not surprised, but I have the ability to do two things at once, and that is acknowledge how unacceptable it is, but also ask the question of what else happened that you were trying to cover up by doing this. So you arrest Don Lemon and then you go to Fulton County and try and raid the voter rolls in a county that you are concerned. You release the Epstein files and you go to Fulton County. There is a distraction tactic that this administration does, and we cannot be distracted by this. We also should not be surprised by it. but we also shouldn't be silenced by it, because there are many times I come on these shows and I say, when there's a group chat and they're saying racist things like the N-word, and JD Vance doesn't stop it at the gate and says, make some excuse, I'm being too sensitive. When it's the eating the cats and dogs, it's just too much. It's just too much. Those are warning signs of people who have behavior like this. And then when it comes out, it is like defend, then delete, pretend like it didn't happen, and make a pivot. We can't be surprised. We can't be silenced, but we can't also be distracted.
Can I play this? This is a C-SPAN caller who is a 3-time Trump voter and called in to say this about how he feels about the president right now.
Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist blatantly. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
I know it's going to be easy for a lot of conservatives to dismiss that, but if you really look, as we've been talking about the polls and what they say about what independent and swing voters are thinking, there are a lot of people like that who are in that place right now. There was a poll this week that talked about, does Trump share your values? Does he have basically the ethics to be president? In the 60s, say he does not. That's a problem.
Let's start with the response, right? So this is obviously a case where the second response should have been the first response, if that's what the truth was. I mean, that said, the fact that they had a first response that perhaps wasn't entirely true is problematic in and of itself. I don't think you're going to find, and you haven't seen any Republicans, any conservatives come out, and really defend this, nor should they. The idea, the defense that this was part of the minute you start having to
stitch together
all these
explanations,
excuses,
yeah.
right? There is a credible screen grab of that by the president's Twitter handle, a truth handle, and it shouldn't have happened. So they should take responsibility. They should apologize and then seek to move on, not sort of deflect and try to hope it goes away.
But what are a lot of people supposed?
And can I just say something really quick? I think his name's Joe something. The fact that it is that even he didn't offer a defense of Donald Trump at this very point speaks volumes. That speaks volumes, because this is someone who consistently, over and over, time and time again, defends Donald Trump. I've literally seen him do it. I've covered him doing it on this channel. So that should be absolutely no surprise at all whatsoever. But the fact that it is that he isn't trying to offer a defense speaks volumes, man. Like, Donald Trump knew what he was doing, but I still don't believe there's enough energy, especially from the right, towards him about it. It just sounds like it's just another scandal and we're just going to move on. Racism should be a massive problem, especially for Republicans heading into the midterms.
To feel about I would have a real conversation about this, because what that tells me is that the person who made history held the job that he currently has, the highest office in the land. He sees them as monkeys. And we know historically that people have looked as black people as less than human, that they were 3/5 of a person and they didn't deserve the right to vote. And so if that is the place where the again in Make America Great Again goes back to, what am I supposed to think as a black person sitting in this country right now? Does he think I am a monkey? Does his supporters think I'm a monkey? It's like, there is something about the deleting, but it is like, are we comfortable with a person that thinks like that would even do that, to be in an office in the White House?
I always thought this was the heart of birtherism, that to denigrate Barack Obama, to denigrate someone who achieves the highest office in the land, isn't just about the individual action of those individual men. It is about a signal that it sends to a community largely, that your achievements, your accomplishments does not overwhelm that perception. And so I think that message is received by a lot of people. And I frankly think that the White House's initial response is in line with what they've done about Minneapolis, they've done about a lot of other things. They're increasingly telling the public to not believe their eyes. And honestly, that ain't work out for Biden, and that's not gonna work out for Donald Trump either. Like their credibility loss, I think, has been legitimate. And I think that they cannot keep sending people out here with excuses that even their supporters know are lies.
Well, that gentleman who just spoke, he represents what I call the double haters. This is a guy who probably voted for Donald Trump in spite of his conduct. Didn't like him, but he disliked Kamala more, so he voted for Trump. There are a lot of people like that out there, and frankly, this kind of these racist comments and all these other crazy things happen in Minnesota and Epstein and elsewhere. All these people, who had doubts about Trump, have even more, and many of them are either not going to show up or they're not going to vote Republican in the midterm. So this is an enormous problem for Republicans. So all the things you pointed out, Ashley, are true. But I do think it is having a real impact on the body politique.
All right. Thank you, guys. Next for us.
Man, it really says something where there's a segment, especially on CNN, where you have people that are on the right and people that are on the left sitting down at a table speaking politics where there's never really any conflict. It really, really says quite a lot. But Ashley raised some really, really good points. And this is the reason why I said what I said earlier. Like, Donald Trump's conduct towards anybody other than white people shouldn't be a surprise. So when you see black people like a Byron Donaldson, a Wesley Hunt, a Tim Scott, when you see people like this, bending over backwards to try and be a sycophant for Donald Trump, well, it's problematic to me. It really is problematic to me simply because of the fact that, like I said, this is someone who isn't for you. He's not for you at all. And I'm just even more shocked that so many people are shocked and surprised at what it is that Donald Trump done the other day. It doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't put it past him. It frustrated and annoyed me, but it shouldn't be news to anyone that Donald Trump is racist. It shouldn't, but unfortunately it is. And that just tells me one thing. Sorry, two things. One of two things. One, you are choosing to ignore it. Or two, you're really not paying enough attention to what's going on in the world, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this exchange down in the comment section below. As usual, do me a massive favor, hit the subscribe button if content like this is of interest to you and you want to hear my commentary and my thoughts from a guy who lives over the pond from the outside looking in. And then also hit the thumbs up button purely for the YouTube algorithm and try and push this video in front of as many people as we possibly can. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.